Well, good day, all. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. And today is July 20th, 2023. And we had a couple of transits come through today that were worth chatting about. So, first of all, this morning, the Sun in Cancer trine Neptune in Pisces at 27 degrees 35 minutes. And that was at 7:06 this morning. And the moon was in Leo at that time, and then it went void for a few hours, and then it moved into Virgo. So then a little later on this afternoon, collectively, we have Mars in Virgo as well, in opposition with Saturn in Pisces. So we're bringing in that Virgo energy. And I just wanted to let you all know too that you can like and comment, starting with I'm grateful for, subscribe to the channel, and you can be put in the draw to win a free 40-minute reading. So every 44 comments, I will make a selection, a draw for a free reading. And yeah, make sure you look for the special. I am taking email clients for a question. We're going into some interesting energy, but we've been really in a lot of emotional energy. Of course, we're just following here with this Sun in Cancer trine Neptune in Pisces as part of the new moon. So we were in the dark moon, and that often has us go more introspective, and with the Cancer energy and the Neptune energy, it's just extremely emotional. I know for me, it's been, kind of roller coasty. And of course, we have the Pluto opposition in there as well. So we had this at 29 degrees, and that new moon was actually at 24 degrees. So that was a very, kind of catharsis moment. It's really bringing in a lot of energy from a transformational and the underground, and bringing what needs to come to the surface. But it is so emotional, and I do the empowerment emotional coaching. So if anybody is working through some of their own old traumas or transition, there's been, sometimes there's a lot of change that we've all been through in the last few years, and confusion and anger, fear, whatever those emotions are that are, basically under the level of that neutrality, based on the scale of consciousness that we use from the book Power versus Force. And that was by Dr. David Hawkins, and he had a emotional, basically a empowerment map of consciousness. So we always want to try to move into the higher levels so that we can live our most authentic, empowered life. And we've had all these things that always want to get in our way. That's just life. That's just part of being a human. So yes, and Pluto likes to bring things up from the depths. But this energy this morning with the Sun in Cancer, Neptune in Pisces trine, that's a really nice flowing energy. And, what does that mean? It means a really heightened sense of spirituality and connection to divine source, the oneness from where we all come. It is very, can be emotionally nurturing, our feminine side, and we all have masculine and feminine within us, and the way that we express our femininity and creativity and intuition. It also brings in, with that interconnecting to the oneness and the divine source, the feeling of just being more compassionate, sensitive, intuitive, and mystical and dreamy. And it's great for doing that inner work. And, you have to, of course, with it, to be careful of your wanting to go into some escapism or the ideals of what things really are compared to reality, and the illusions of that. So that can be like a shadow aspect of it. But it is that sun now itself here, 27 degrees, is in a really nice trine to Neptune. The moon, of course, has, moved on to Virgo, and we're going to talk about what's happening over here next after this. But in that, new moon that we had, you can still do your new moon intentions. It's actually a good time. Make the list, the details of that, using that Virgo moon, and write out what it is that you want for this time in the second half of the year. How do you want to feel whenever it is you get those things that you have envisioned for your life? And bring in that basically the vision board maybe that you worked on, or the dreams and all of the things that you've imagined, and journal it, and the wishes and the hopes and all of that, knowing that we first have to envision in our lives what it is that we are wanting to create, and then that will manifest into our reality. And with it, though, has to be the belief, has to be the emotion, has to be the feeling of the knowingness, that knowing that that is going to be your truth. And so that connecting to the oneness is what will help bring that into your reality. With that, I had also wanted to read some of the descriptions out of this awesome book, Archetypes of the Universe by Ren Butler. And so this is Ren. He actually is a friend, grew up with my uncles, and we connected after I kind of found some interest in astrology. And so that was super cool. My uncles are still, and his family's still local here too. So they're still connected and play some music together. And Ren and I, when we chat, we can chat astrology. So he wrote his book, and so many people use it as a resource. It's amazing. Just so many details. So if you have some interest in astrology, it's definitely a must-have. And with that Sun and Neptune, it is looking for that discovery, the spiritual self-discovery of our higher purpose. It's a perception of the divine meaning permeating creation, as he puts, the tendencies towards self-deception, though, and escapism, like I mentioned, or that dissolved feeling of selfhood, sort of lacking that purpose, and having a psychic ability as well, though, can come through. You're more intuitive, and so we just have to be sure that we in that shadow side watch ourselves with that, any kind of delusions that might come up. But at the same time, it is really, really wonderful to be able to have the easy flow of energies to find that connection, and bring in sort of some meditation and what comes through in your meditations. So then a little later on, of course, after we've had this really, I guess, connected morning of spirituality, hopefully you've been able to at least take a little bit of time to take some deep breaths, at least in your day to day. We had Mars in Virgo in opposition with Saturn in Pisces. So this Mars here in Virgo, opposition to Saturn in Pisces, and these two, of course, are known as the malefics. So they're not the most beneficial energies when they're involved. So they can bring about some challenges. And then in opposition, of course, that is a tension, it's a push-pull, it's the integration of things. So this was happening at 2:39 Mountain Standard Time today, July 20th, and at 6 degrees, as you see here in the chart. And what we find with that sometimes is just can feel frustrating at times, because we're just under all this pressure, right? Under this pressure or tension. But we have all these limitations and, maybe some constraints and boundaries and things that come up that feel like, oh, I got to get this done. And you want to like move ahead with the Mars, and it's like the gas and the brake at the same time, because Mars just wants to, it's the action oriented planet. It wants to take charge. It's the will to be and how we act in our life. And in Virgo, of course, it's methodical and detailed, and of course has that little bit of a perfectionist tendency too, but wants to organize and have control to get things all in order and have it perfect. But at the same time, we're running up maybe against some of these limitations, and kind of like we're trying to get out of a box type of thing. So it's just a matter of having patience with that. And sometimes we can, under those constraints, we can find some really creative solutions that happen out of necessity, essentially, that we have to make some things happen, and to find a more efficient way. And because we have all of this pressing on us, and to get this done, and we have to take those steps in the details. So for me, of course, it's this changing of my career life, and also knowing that I want to do more videos and want to talk more about the astrology, and also feeling like, oh, I should be doing something else, because that's just not I want to take action on it, but at the same time it's like, oh, I have to be doing all these other things that are more my responsibility, not taking this as my primary responsibility. So that's where I have to improve that for myself. I know what this also can do is to look at it, from that more emotionally intelligent and making more mature choices of what has to be done. So we want to look at where we can find solutions in this tension, in this opposition that we are seeing. And I just actually had wanted to read a couple more things as far as what Ren has to say too about this from the archetypal universe. So this Mars Saturn is about focused and disciplined action, deliberate and determined. So we want to put our energy and our hard work out there in a persistent way. We got to take action on those projects, and can find the capacity to complete them. This energy, actually, because it is such a disciplined, action oriented thing, a lot of people who are in the career of military or the police have these type of archetypes very dominant in their chart. So now, in the oppression though of the Saturn, we might feel inhibited and, of course, frustrated, and have the tendency to want to feel victimized, especially with that Saturn in Pisces, because that Pisces energy tends to want to be can go to the low road of the victimhood. And so we just have to watch those low roads. People sometimes can also be play the victim while perpetrating others, and have that ongoing bitterness or hatred, or feelings of harshness towards others. So you want to watch that you're not feeling like when you're being tested, you got to put the nose to the grindstone, basically, is what he's saying when you confront these challenges, and not go into that place of any kind of violent or aggressive action. you can, as Ren says in the book here, process the stuck energies, which, of course, in the work that I do, we talk about all kinds of exercises to process emotions. And to process these kind of stuck emotions where you're just like that frustration of wanting to go forward, and then the constraints is to, shake your fists and, squeeze your muscles and, do some growling or coughing or just exertion, discharge of that energy out of you. And kind of basically like exert some, kind of force with it, and some maybe loud noise that you want to express. So yeah, just being, careful with those boundaries and the collisions that you're coming up with, that you can find some ways to move it out of you is the big thing. And yeah, it's interesting because often, there can be, he's saying like dreams you come up about, like where there's the metal or the sharp objects or the hard, rigid edges of certain things that come up in your dream. So that's kind of, yeah, kind of interesting. So yeah, we just have to work through the tensions of that and find ways to work through that tension. But then, of course, it can be used in such a, real constructive way too, if you are aware of kind of what's going on, so that you take some breaths and then, bring in some patience, and take a different approach towards, in an alternative way in order to make all that happen. So I just also wanted to, with both of these energies, there were some really good descriptions that came through from Astro Victor. And so in his interpretation of the sun in Cancer, trine Neptune in Pisces, with the one that was this morning, and connecting to your spiritual, I find it interesting because these dynamics are both so really polar opposite. So you have to, go through your day kind of experiencing from the collective. You may feel it somewhat, or it depends on it. But you've got some time to sort of take some deep breaths and can get aligned with the spiritual missions and the dreams and find your faith and path. Victor says, see the challenges you experience as necessary, and understand these lectures and why you're having them. And there's so much, watery emotional energy. You may need to take some time and settle and give way to your intuition and the more feminine side when you're making your choices. So the sun in Cancer is very nurturing, and so you want to blend that seamless Neptune in Pisces, which is that real flow of the oneness, right? And the spiritual insights, and find the alignment to the enhanced creativity and your empathy and the emotional depth, and trust your gut. Like, that's the main thing, is when you're making any decisions throughout the day, if you're having intuitive feelings, you want to really make sure that with these decisions that you're making, you want to feel what it is telling you in your body. Like, that's the whole thing about our emotions. They get stored and they are felt in the body. It's not a head thing, right? But it's any creative expression is a great way to express these emotions. And yeah, as mentioned before, can feel much more compassionate, but you also want to effortlessly blend these realms of the imagination in with the reality, with the Saturn in there, and turn the dreams that you have from that Neptune Pisces into your reality. So again, like I said, journaling is and about what you do want, about your dreams and your wishes and your hopes for that new moon intention setting would be a great way to sort of take advantage of this energy and connect to the oneness in the both worlds, the other realm, and bringing it down into here with the sun in Cancer, that nurturing warmth in trine, and a nice flow to the mystical depth of Neptune in Pisces. So that was a really nice explanation. And then as we move into this, also this other energy, the keywords of our Virgo, as mentioned before, are detail oriented and to be organized, and they can be critical and striving for excellence, and feeling the power to tackle the challenges. From a very methodical approach is the Virgo, and the Saturn in Pisces is the planet, that you've taken that planet of structure and hard work and the discipline and the, old lady teacher, old man teacher, and the one that wants you to be responsible for everything in our physical reality. And you're putting that in a very dreamy, compassionate sign of Pisces. So, and Mars wants us to take action and speed things up. And Saturn's like, no, we are the Time Lord, and we must take things slow and steady and build at a very methodical type pace. So we have those challenges, and there's just moving through it with knowing that you're going to have the speed bumps. So that assertive, detail-oriented nature of Mars in Virgo appears to be at odds with that opposition, with the sensitive, emotionally driven qualities of Saturn and Pisces. And so we can't force through. That's basically what we have to basically take that, more methodical, smarter approach, I guess, not be forced. Not it's again going back to that power versus force. It's using our power and empowering ourselves rather than forcing and pushing things through, because that is basically what we struggle with internally. We're trying to integrate those energies of the forceful will and then the allowance of what needs to come through in a very practical and disciplined manner. So we want to make sure we empower ourselves in order to get where we want and what we want, and those hopes and dreams and wishes that we had wrote, and have the other emotions out of the way and not try to force through everything, because it's just not sustainable. That's the whole thing, is when we're forcing things, maybe you'll get to your goal in some fashion, but it's not sustainable when you aren't feeling all of the higher empowered emotions, such as diving into the courage and the willingness to be open and neutrality and seeing things from different perspectives, and bringing a lot of love and compassion and joy into the situation. So that is what I have to say about these energies today of the Mars here in opposition to Saturn, 6 degrees, and earlier this morning this nice trine of the sun in flow with Neptune. And we'll we actually have another little square with the nose. The sun here will be squaring the North Node, and North Node 29 degrees just moved into Aries. We'll have to talk about that. That happened the other day, and so we'll have to chat about that too in another video. But thank you all for being here today, and we will chat with you again soon. Have a super day, and we'll see you next time.